Yeah, I said I'd make a video on, my journey in regards to mental health. I was diagnosed 12 years ago as a schizophrenic, and then I relocated back to Queensland from Victoria, and the diagnosis stood as post-traumatic stress disorder with generalized anxiety. And then it went back to schizophrenia, and then I had some revelations of my own, and I thought it was schizoaffective. I spoke of my concerns with the mental health professional, the psychiatrist, and he seemed to think that it was schizoaffective as well. I then come overseas, uh, and I went home and asked to be reassessed, and it went back to schizophrenia, with paranoid subtype. Um, since then, some of the information that I've read and becoming more clearer in my thoughts, what I've done is misinterpreted expansive mood as being a symptom of bipolar, when in reality what I experience is delusions of grandeur, and with that go a certain degree of affect, where I feel sensational in my internal world. It's very infantile in nature. I think that it should be eternalized forever and a day. And it's not like I have rationalized that others should follow suit. But, there is a part of me that believes, especially when I see extroverts parading about, that they have the gift, so to speak. And, that's when, I guess, I feel, that's when I become delusional. Because in reality, I'm a bit of a recluse, and I'm very introverted. In social settings, most of the time I feel really, really vulnerable. And another thing that I've learned is that generally, when I feel vulnerable, I escape into my inner realm, where I can be whoever I want to be, so to speak. And when I become angry and resentful, paranoid delusions where, they're, it's like I'm being bullied, so to speak. Living here in Cambodia, if I see someone that, or I've had a few interactions with them, I can believe that they're part of the mafia, which is connected to the government, or people higher up the hierarchy, so to speak, and that I'm in imminent danger, and I react to that, by becoming very insecure and hyper vigilant, and full of self doubt and things along those lines, where I'm only just starting to be able to relax now because I've acknowledged that the issue lies within my thought processes. I haven't done anything here in Cambodia that would signal that I am, worthy of that kind of attention. Um, even though my head or my disease wants to confabulate stories of conspiracy and things along those lines. So I've never been able to compartmentalize the two. I was circulating, and I'm only just starting to get a sense of definition in reality, where I can remove and detach myself from that kind of thinking, with the aid of medication. And, it's okay. I'm okay, you're okay, kind of stuff. I'm aware that this kind of activity is an issue, especially in a third world country. But I don't do anything to antagonize or provoke that, aside from the fact that people pick up on my body language, and reality is, I don't have the air and confidence of someone who is just a tourist, so to speak. And then there's my lack of motivation and poor hygiene and things along those lines. I try to keep myself reasonably tidy, but I don't put a great deal of effort into that. So people don't know how to judge me. Though with the manager here or the owners of this particular guest house, they're aware that I live on a pension and that I have mental health issues. It's all well and good. I seem to be coming out of myself a little bit more, and I think that's also by accepting the fact that if my worst fears were to become realized, the thing when I am delusional in a persecutory sense, then my acceptance around that has gotten a whole lot better. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt me. So without being cocky or egotistical, and I wouldn't like to spend time in a third world country jail if I was to be set up. But I don't go out of my way to, like I mentioned, participate in those kinds of activities, or generate them, or provoke them. And the truth of the matter is, trying to do things on the cheap, you're exposed to to other individuals who basically, I'm learning, are susceptible to paranoia and distortion themselves. The government here is very corrupt, by all reports. I accept the fact that they're just playing a game as well. That's what politics is all about. And, that politics is a part of everyday life. Even here in the commune, you have the owners, their children, you have tenants in 2 phone shops out the front. You have people coming and going from the guest house, and staff that run it. And, at times I find myself trying to overanalyze that kind of interplay, and that's my control issues, but I rationalise that it's just a way of being aware, and it's part of the process of maturing as well, I believe. So I have had a very traumatic childhood. I believe that a lot of my issues were from I was raised in. Uh, Over the years, the research I've done into my own mental health issues, I've come to suspect that my father was a paranoid schizophrenic as well. Um, or, and perhaps obsessive compulsive. And my mother was histrionic. Um, and My mother's mother died when she was 14, and I don't believe that she ever processed her grief in regards to that, and as a result, developed psychosomatic, where your mind tells your body that it's ill. Uh, she used to suffer from severe migraine headaches and things along those lines, but she also had a phantom pregnancy, where her mind told her, or she believed so intensely that she was pregnant, her body started to display the symptoms of a pregnant woman. Mental health issues within my family. Um, you know, so I've let go of the notion too, especially when I feel victimised, that if I had been raised in a normal family, that things may have turned out differently. But I suspect I would have developed a mental illness anyway, whether it be bipolar, because I had quite a few friends whom I suspect were bipolar, and that kind of reckless abandon, attracted me to them, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I'm in a good place at the moment. I could go home tomorrow, but I've got to ride it out for another 5 or 6 weeks, and fatten up before I come back again. I don't know. Oh, I've been talking for 13 minutes. That's me in a nutshell. I just changed my clothes today. I didn't shower. My hair is messy. My scalp is full of grease and dandruff, and I'm yucky. But I don't fucking care. I'm not out to win a fair maiden's heart anymore. And that's been a relief in itself. That was very triggering when I was a lot more virile than what I am now. And I think that's part of the reason why my psychosis has subsided, and I've been able to get some insight and awareness in regards to that. Because there was abuse in that area of my life as well. all's well and good here in Cambodia. Thanks for listening. Just an update. Okay, bye.